All right, welcome to another episode of Math on the Rocks, where we talk about all the rocky subjects of math in California. And we have
Katie Koehn. I am Merced County Office math coordinator, one of the 10 currently.
You got it.
Employed
And
here.
you are our first official MCOE math coordinator who is joining us as a guest
And
on
it's
the podcast.
not because I begged or cried. I have earned my spot on this podcast,
You
and
have
I have heckled my
Yes.
way here, and I am so happy to be here today.
I am so glad you're here. Now, you don't actually know what we're going to talk about yet. So
No.
first, thank you, by the way, so the reason why we're doing this special one, because there's no Cole, there's no Scott, is because you see all this equipment here. It's just kind of junky there. It's because we are getting ready for Cole, Scott, and me to do
I thought it was
live-
because I was too much personality for one podcast.
That's true, too.
Okay.
That's true too.
Okay.
We are here practicing because Cole, Scott, and I are going to be recording 3 live podcast episodes at CMC South in Palm Springs.
Which is so very exciting. So tell me, what is the theme? What's going down with these live podcasts?
Thank you for the softball. Right,
Yeah.
That's like,
Right
now
there.
I'll hit it. So the what we're going to do is we've got 3 podcasts that we're going to be episodes that we're going to be recording. The first one is going to be Brian Buckhalter. He is the NCSM president-elect.
Very, very cool.
He's luckily he's speaking at CMC South. I absolutely adored his presence and his vibe
Atlanta.
at NCSM in
Yes.
Atlanta. Exactly. And so I'm stoked that we get to have him on the podcast. And then we have Suzanne Huerta. Okay, so she and her principal, Stephanie Williamson, are going to be joining us on the podcast. Now, we've had them at CMC Central Symposium, probably the last 2 or 3 symposiums. They are fantastic. They tell a great story, super inspirational that really attends to math for all kids, including Suzanne's kids, which, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm right. She's a special ed teacher.
We don't fact check on this podcast.
No,
It's okay.
not one bit. But no, I'm certain because she is in Rachel Lambert's book.
Oh, very, very cool.
And yeah, so she's fantastic. And then our third guest is Kai Carew or Caro. I'm not entirely sure how to say it, but the dude, he and I, we did Top Golf the other day at Atlanta.
Oh, is that how you get on the podcast?
And yes, you should have taken me out to
To Top Golf?
Top Golf. And you
I
would
get
have had
highly
me.
competitive, though, Duane. You know this.
Well, yeah, and then I eat nachos, so that's my excuse for not doing well.
I was also on the golf team, so in
did
high
not know
school.
that.
Yeah, so I think, that would have been a good time.
Did you know I was a golf coach in middle school?
I had no idea. No.
It's a true story.
So it sounds like at some point we need to. I hear Palm Springs has some excellent golfing, but continue with the lineup. You have some exciting people coming
Yes.
on.
And so then the vibe is, because we don't want the audience just to sit in silence as we record something. So the audience participation the vibe is, we want so these 4 guests have something valuable to say. The problem is they're going to be saying it to people who already agree. And so what we want the audience to do is when they come and as they're listening, they're going to listen with the viewpoint or the lens of their skeptical colleagues who choose not to attend the conferences because they think our approach to mathematics is baloney.
So what I'm hearing is if you're at CMC South and you have some major naysayers about mathematics in your life, this is your opportunity to get their questions addressed by some really amazing math gurus.
Yeah, legit. It's like we're developing a little bit of empathy because we have to walk in the shoes of the skeptical person. So we have to think like they do, and that's empathy. That's how we close these gaps. And then they have to ask the question that the skeptical person would ask so that when the guest gives an answer, it's very meta, we can hear that answer and go, crud, that's what I should have
That's
said
my
to
next
my
elevator
colleague.
pitch, guys. That's my
Yeah,
speech next time.
That's what I should have said
Negative
to my
Nancy
colleague.
says the kids just need to know their facts.
Yes. But now I have an answer because Brian just told me blah, 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 blah. And then, bam, all of a sudden, not only are we developing empathy with the skeptics, but we're also developing language that we can use to speak to them.
And can I add, it's healthy to be skeptical, right? And I know that teachers, we've been through the gamut and they see pendulum swings, as they call it, or other things. But I think that true great strategies in pedagogy stand up against skepticism. So we need to invite it. We need to invite it and have discourse around it and talk about it.
Yep. And that's the way we're going to close the gap in California. Okay. Now here's, you kind of didn't really know, although this is secretly sort of a take two, but you didn't really.
Duane was definitely in the camera the first time around. Definitely.
It's like every once in a while my hand would show up in the screen. So you have not had much time to think about this, but I'm gonna set the scene and then I want you to take over a little bit. So we at Merced County Office of Education, we math coordinators, we really see ourselves as doing something special compared to the other 57 counties in the state of California.
I agree, and I'm not biased at all.
No, not one bit. And as a result, we are getting, because we do this thing differently than everybody else, we're getting some good results. And so what I wanted you to do is I want you to unpack what we do. It's called collaborative lesson design. Maybe I'll set the scene a little bit, but then I want you to go through each of the points or the items on our agenda, right? So our agenda, what we do, the big premise, one of the things that we do differently is we don't make the teachers come to us in our fancy county office building for training. We go to their school site.
Physically and metaphorically, we meet them where they're at.
We meet them over there at
Always.
their school site. And then generally, we pull them out of their classroom for about 2 hours of time.
Or 45 minutes. Let's be realistic here.
Exactly, because
we do with the time that we've been given, right?
We generally show up.
We will make it work.
Thinking we're going to get 2 hours, but then, to your point, it is pretty common for the principal to greet us in the parking lot and say, "Oh yeah, we forgot that we have the fire department coming out to do a fire safety assembly, and so your 2 hours of training is now 45 minutes."
By the way, not from personal experience, but do you know that bowling trips make excellent counting collections?
Bowling trips?
Bowling trips.
Because you're counting points and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about all the ways to 10. You can do all the things. I'm just saying.
That's,
And it wouldn't be
Partners to
because I
10.
showed up and that happened once.
No.
That
is true.
amazing. It was my favorite
That
thing
was
ever.
probably a major turn on a dime moment. You were showing up thinking you were doing some sort of
great. I loved it.
training,
Every minute of it. It was the best day ever.
Okay, so we call the agenda day this collaborative lesson design protocol, I guess.
Right.
So take it away. What's our first step on that collaborative lesson design?
So your first step, first and foremost, is we talk about especially the MCOE way here. And I have amazing colleagues, and this is a process that we've developed over time that we are continuing to improve. What is your saying about improvement? It's never perfect, and it's always, I don't remember. You have a saying that he's not bringing up with now, so now it looks like I'm a liar. Thanks, Duane. Okay. To be fair, he tells me a lot of things. But
Yes,
anyway,
this is true.
we are working on it, and it's been a work in progress. And what we found is that there's something about having your boots on the ground and being truly collaborative in both lesson design and in co-teaching.
With the teachers.
With the teachers. This is really, really powerful. We know the one and done PD can be inspiring, but it's not as effective as really getting in there and getting messy with it with their kids, right? That is what this is about. And we really focus on service leadership. We are trying to meet, you mentioned that we go to the sites and we meet teachers where they're at, and we do that more than physically, right? So we start a process where ultimately what we want to do is give a space where teachers can be vulnerable, they feel supported, and that they're ready to dive in and try new things, which is hard. These are big changes coming down the hatch. We are not being taught the way that we taught. And that can be daunting, and we need to give space and grace for all of those things.
Yep.
So we start by unloading to saying, hey, tell us your peaches and your pits. Now, you can think of this as a pebble in your shoe, things of that nature. We just want teachers to have the space to say, this is what's going well, and this is the thing in my practice that is relevant and to me and important to me that I want your support in, which is beautiful because it opens up so many great conversations about where we're going to go next that we can incorporate and figure out solutions around during that problem solving or that collaborative design process.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
So like the Peaches and Pits, like not only are we there at their school site physically meeting them, but the Peaches and Pits is an opportunity for them to kind of unload what's going well, what's not going well, so that then you can meet them emotionally speaking
Yes.
where they are, and carry that through the rest of the agenda so that they know they've been heard,
Yes.
so that they know they're not alone in their
Absolutely.
thinking. And then you also ideally come out the other end of this collaborative lesson design
Having met a need.
with a solution. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So it's
and
not
it
toxic.
sets the stage, right? Because nobody wants to do something just because you said you did it. We want something that's going to help better our practice, have really great outcomes for our students. That is what we're in it for, right? And so by figuring out that pit and turning it into a positive, which we do because we can say, oh my gosh, what I'm hearing is your kid is struggling with that fluency. As we go through this lesson design process where we're going to actually co-plan a lesson together and actually do some math, let's talk about how we might throw in a number sense routine or a number talk to hit that very need you just talked about. Oh, your child is having, or children are having trouble figuring out this particular concept. I have a great way to explore that, maybe using the CRA method or centering around a really juicy, beautiful task. Let's see if we can bridge that connection to the algorithm and make that connection through the way that we consolidate it around the board or through those BTC tasks. And it's just a beautiful entry point and usually has a very satisfactory end.
Right.
Yeah.
So the pit almost forms your lesson objectives as you're marching through our collaborative lesson design agenda.
Yes.
The pits gives you what's the learning objective for today.
Yeah.
So you show up on campus without a clear learning objective.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to think on your feet.
And I'm TK through 12, so any day could be anything.
Oh,
We're just gonna
literally,
We're
yeah.
gonna pivot, but that's what we need. That's what true support is, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we start off the 2 hours. Let's pretend we're having a perfect day.
Okay.
With Peaches and Pits. Then what?
Then we're like, okay, we're going to design a lesson. What is your learning goal, objective, and standard for today? Let's get into it. Let's pick a really juicy task that's going to be assets-based, that has great entry points for all students, and let's start to plan this lesson. And as we plan it, the most important part, and my favorite part of this design process, is doing the math. Because in essence, you're giving space to actually play. Not only are you building teachers' MKT, but you are also inviting them to figure out or anticipate what student solutions might look like, and therefore hone in their questions for those hints and extensions that are going to move their students forward, but also think about how they're really going to bring it all together on their math journey and tell this math story so they can consolidate and kids walk away with that learning goal in mind or that concept solidly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. And there's joy in it. I think that's the thing that I would love to press upon the most in this process is that there is something great about sitting down with your colleagues and collaborators and being like, okay, hey, here is this third grade math task. Name all the ways you can think of that your students might be able to solve it. I want you to draw it out. What's the way that it comes to you? And it's this beautiful moment of discussion. Like, I never thought about seeing it like that. That is so cool. Or you said you had a student do that 2 years ago. How neat is that? Have you ever thought about it this way? No. And we talk about those and why those methods work. And it helps us grow in our own math knowledge. And that is really, really powerful. And we have these moments of fun, which is what we are experiencing exactly what we want our students to experience.
Yeah.
And we're making space for that.
All right, now, but I'm going to call you out a little bit here.
Oh, no.
You used, I heard you use a dangerous 4-letter word.
Oh, no. What did I say?
I know. And this is supposed to, you're not supposed to use naughty language here. And the 4-letter word you used was play. You said we want them to play with their math. Now, later you said joy.
Yes.
And that, I love the term play, because as we're doing the math that we're about to teach, if we're not having joy and if we don't have the sense of play, then we're doing it wrong.
Absolutely.
And because there's no way, if we don't experience that play and that joy, then there's no way in God's green earth we're going to be able to transfer joy to the kids.
Absolutely.
If we ourselves don't feel it. It's got to bubble out of us in a very authentic way. And so I wanted to call you out on that.
I know.
'cause
And
love
I think if I know you, you probably would have a different phrase
yes.
for that moment where we are playing with the
My
math.
type A calls it intellectual preparation, but it's
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Which
doing the
sounds like
math.
a lot of work, whereas play
I know.
sounds like a lot of fun.
You're like play and joy, and I'm
I
like
would like
intellectual
to push back on this
preparation.
thinking, because this idea of play, and I think there was a great TED Talk that I came across a few years back, and it talked about how from the beginning of our existence as little humans, how do we learn? And ultimately, it is through play and experimentation. And although we can say that play sounds a little bit less intellectual than we'd like it to be, or scientific, because we know that there is a science to teaching, there is something where we really need to give space for both adults who are learning to play, and we especially need to give that to our students. And so I will not shy away from the word play.
I don't want you to.
Because
I
intentional
love
play is absolutely how we grow.
Yep, spot on. Okay, so we did the pits, the peaches in the pits. That's kind of give us a sense of some things that you as the coach
And
want
we're starting that
cover.
collaborative lesson
Yep.
design process. We
designing a
picked
lesson.
a lesson. We're going through it. We are working through the
doing the
math.
math.
We are
Then
anticipating
what?
student answers. We are coming up with great questions that we can, or hints or extensions, to get the kids moving without stealing their thinking. And now we're even going to maybe even take a photo of all of the different solutions after we've sequenced them.
That the teachers did.
That the teachers did and sequenced them. So, and I'm going to digitize it to them. We have the beautiful TTP template that we use. I tell my teachers, you don't have to fill this out. Nobody's got time for that. But this is something for our work together that you can look back on next year and be like, what was that really cool lesson that we did where we already really anticipated all of this and really dug a little deeper into it? So that's for them. And so we'll have those. We'll have the anticipated solutions up there. We'll have those hints and extensions, and we'll have a great closing activity to get the kids to reflect on their thinking.
So you'll throw in a number talk maybe.
Yeah, and at the beginning is some
whatever-
sort of number sense routine.
whatever their pits
the
are.
juicy problem-solving
Yeah,
math, the heart of the lesson, the meat and potatoes, and then some great closure where the students are reflecting on their thinking and connecting it back to the learning goal. In some cases, even telling us what the learning goal was.
That's the best.
That is so powerful.
Yeah. Okay, so you've designed this lesson together. You did some purposeful play, your intellectual preparation. The teachers themselves are learning both math content and pedagogical math content, math knowledge for teaching. And then, so now you have this lesson designed. Then what? You go into a classroom.
Yeah. So with my teachers, it's all about support, right? And so before we go into the classroom, I also want to make sure that they're selecting an instructional focus to grow in their practice. And I give them a series of 5 choices, which include things like planning and intentionality, which we've already done, student discourse, access and equity, and even this idea of conceptual development and understanding. And all of this is really, really, really powerful. And so once they've chosen that area of focus, we can look back on our lesson and see the ways that we had already accounted for those things and even how we could go even deeper. I had a beautiful moment with some kindergarten teachers whom I love. They were fantastic. And they had planned this great lesson. It was a counting collection, really exploring things within 10. And they had these great questions for the kids to extend their thinking and to really to get them to go deeper. And they had said, but we're having trouble, as they chose their instructional focus, they said, with student discourse, because it's like pulling teeth getting our kids to really talk about mathematics. And so that was an opportunity. We're like, okay, beautiful. Let's add an MLR routine right here. Let's do Stronger, Clearer with the kids and see if we can get them really talking about how they counted their collections with each other. And that was really cool too, to see the kids explain their thinking and have it repeat back to them and the kids saying, oh, what you said was, oh, you held 5 in your head and then went 6, 7, 8 in real time, was a beautiful moment. And it happened because we'd had that discussion and picked that instructional focus and refined our practice even further. But what's really cool is it also gives them an opportunity to say, hey, whether we're going to decide who's going to do which components of the lesson. And I tell them, don't threaten me with a good time because I love to get in there and teach.
Right.
So if they want support, if they want to see me model something, I will do it. If they're like, hey, I can set up the number sense routine, the number talk, maybe start the lesson, but I get a little fuzzy in the middle because sometimes that consolidation doesn't feel like it's coming together. Or hey, that new math language routine that you just did, I want to see that in action because I hadn't seen that before. I'm willing to step in and do that. And that gives them an opportunity, whether it's what they're doing, it gives me an opportunity to give them feedback based on their instructional focus, or if they're watching me do it, they can figure out, okay, how did I meet that need or that instructional focus? Right. And it's such a great debrief conversation to have post-lesson.
So before we debrief, so you go into the classroom.
Yes.
And it's like
we have a great time.
There's some element of tag team teaching because it's based on whatever the teachers are willing to do.
It's what they need,
you
and
do
it's
everything
truly
else.
Collaborative.
Right.
Yes.
And then, so there's safety. They get to practice with you there, and you can swoop in and help if you wish.
And there are times where like, oh, I just got modeled. What should be next? And we can talk about it in the moment.
In front of the kids.
It's like, hey, my next coaching move, what do you think? And we talk about it, and the kids know that, hey, I have some adults in this room. Things are going to get a little crazy, and it's going to be fun because I get to have even more people playing math with me or talking about the math.
Okay, so you taught the lesson, then I'm assuming you debrief.
We debrief. And we focus around that instructional focus that they did. And I like to ask them a series of questions. My favorite one these days is, well, I always say, own your greatness, right? Because I think our teachers aren't given enough credit for the amazing work they're doing. And as we have our eye of improvement, we need to make room to celebrate the great things that they are doing and working on and bringing to light with their students. And it makes me think about Tim Knold, who talked about radical celebration, and I don't think we have enough of that, and we should bring that into our practice more often. And so owning their greatness is on, and then maybe one thing that they might do better next time. Yeah. But one of my new favorite spins on this is, what could have gone worse? And this is a great question to ask teachers because they might not be as open with you. Like, what could I do better? It's hard to look somebody in the eyeballs. As a coach, I know this, right? And be like, well, maybe you might consider doing this differently. But if you say what could have gone worse, it's a very open format where they can lay their cards on the table without necessarily hurting any feelings, right? So if they say, you know what, I think if you had gone any faster in this process, I would have been left behind. That is a great note to me as a coach to remember that even if we're pressured with a 45-minute time frame, to slow it down and make that space because that's what they're asking for. And that's really, really beautiful there. And I love to ask them, okay, what was today valuable for you? And can you name one thing that you'll take away into your practice next time? Yeah. And that makes a commitment moving further together.
You're hoping to kind of bookend. We started with some peaches and pits, and then ideally at the end, you would like to see that we solved some of these pits.
We de-pitted? I don't know if that's the right word.
De-pittified. Okay, so what strikes me, what I love about this process is, in contrast with traditional PD that is done to teachers.
With teachers.
Yeah, this is done with teachers, like every step of the way, all the way to the point where you show up without a learning objective. Like, what we're going to do. We're going to do what we call the collaborative lesson design agenda. But you don't know the topic. You don't know what they're going to say for their peaches and pits. You don't know the lesson that we're going to design and how you're going to turn their pits into these lesson components that solves. Everything is being done in collaboration with the teachers in that moment.
And I think there's this misconception among coaches where we need to be perfection.
Yeah.
And in doing so, we aren't being authentic with teachers. And so when you come with your dog and pony show and your perfectly designed lesson that you might have had a couple hours to spend on.
And your 126 slides that you just click through.
It's not realistic and it doesn't meet a need. But when you design a lesson in a moment or in a time frame that teachers actually have, and you start to meet those in the moment needs, and you use the resources and tools that are already available to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you can't say, you don't have Cuisinart rods? Well, I'll just buy some, and here you go, and we'll use them. No.
That is powerful.
What's in the classroom.
It's replicable. Yeah. It is something we will continue to use, and I think we appreciate it. don't intimidate me with this perfect idea of a lesson where I had no idea how long you actually had time to spend on it.
Right.
Show me in the moment that this is doable and we can do it together and it can be messy and we can still grow from it. That is real boots on the ground mathematics coaching.
Yep.
And that's what we should be doing.
I think that it humanizes the process. They get to see you do it in action with them, so they know, because really the actual lesson design portion takes about 15-ish minutes. I mean, we play math. We have to play with math. That takes a while. But
See how he's using the word play now, guys? It's no longer a dirty word.
It's not, no. And so that's part of them growing as mathematicians. But the actual lesson design itself is a matter of minutes. It's just a few minutes. And so then when they watch this lesson take place just a little bit later, you're teaching part of it, they're teaching part of it, or maybe you're teaching the whole darn thing, but they know because they saw the cake get baked. They know that there's no secret sauce that you spent 6.5 hours designing to make this lesson work. It happened in this 15-minute lesson design.
And talk about creating a space for vulnerability. If I am willing to teach a lesson that we just came up with on the fly from the back of, your unit where we just picked a great word problem and we're going to go with it, it creates a space. If I'm willing to put myself out there and be like, hey, it can be imperfect and we're going to do it, and either way we're going to learn something, I feel like that invites space for our teachers to say, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so to be honest, I picked this topic with you because you're one of the better practitioners of this in Merced County. I know.
No, we have amazing
Own your
practitioners.
greatness.
Use my words against me.
Well, bam.
Wow.
And, so
Well, bam needs to be a button.
this really does. Bam. Okay. So what effects is this having on your teachers? Like, how is this working?
I think, and as I'm considering it right now, one, I think that I have teachers that are more open to trying new things and not worrying too much about it not going well. And that in itself is so powerful. It shifts that needle into this space and room to grow because you're not paralyzed with fear that you're going to be making grave mistakes. And I tell my teachers all the time, I'm like, don't worry about it being perfect. Give yourself grace and permission to fail forward because it's important. And think about it, if you're doing something great poorly, it's better than doing nothing frequently. So it's powerful in that. And we see evidence not only in the math joy that's been created from the children that are around. I step foot on campuses and I get in trouble with children when they're like, you're not coming into our classroom. I also got called on the carpet. I didn't tell you this. By a third grader who has known me for 4 years now. So since early on. And I left the math lesson and he goes, wait. And and he goes, you didn't say your thing. And I'm like,
you have a thing?
What? He goes, you're supposed to tell us that the more we work and play in the math space, the more our brains grow. You say it. And so I had to stop and turn to the third graders and say, hey, guys, remember, the more you work and play in the math space, and they say, the more our brains grow.
Oh, that's adorable.
And so that's an impact, right? And beyond what, if you want to call it math propaganda, it's working, right? It's making a difference in their mindsets and their joy for math. But I'm also seeing real data emerge from here. I'm seeing growth across my sites. I'm seeing one of my school districts just earned the title of having the top CAS scores in our county.
Nice.
In mathematics.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
That's right. This is news to my boss, guys.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you should give me a raise.
Yes,
I
should.
It really truly is on them, though. My teachers are incredible. The teachers that are doing the strategies
really
and
cool.
showing that. And at a site, I had a third grade teacher who was really anxious. She was teaching math for the first time because they switch for those components, math and ELA. And so was really anxious, threw herself into the strategies, and she ended up getting the top scores for third grade in her entire district this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. On top of the fact that I had a really incredible, and I know I weigh CAST results
Yeah.
with a grain of salt, because I know county to county it can be different.
Yep.
But I also saw some incredible. I had a very a third year teacher, and who was very enthusiastic about mathematics, and I saw that basically this last year, 34% of his students scored in the advanced category. So I'm not just saying proficient, I'm saying only
That's huge.
advanced, which is
That's
really,
huge.
really incredible.
Yeah.
So we're seeing this impact not only anecdotally and through Math Joy, but also it's showing up in our data in really beautiful ways.
I love it. And this is why I wanted to use you to help me figure out how to use this equipment, because we also knew you had a story to tell.
Yeah, it's not just because he felt bad because he went to karaoke without me and hasn't had me on the podcast.
The 10 listeners are going to go, oh, there's a story.
There is a story.
Yeah.
But I have finally made it on the podcast. And I'm so happy to be here. And,
I
and
appreciate you.
I hope I get to come back again. Hopefully I didn't say too many out-of-pocket things, as the kids
You will
say.
come back. You will be a return guest.
Yay. Maybe if not, I'll just hunt you down at CMC South and be a great skeptic.
I'll have the equipment set up.
Yeah.
We just add another podcast.
It'll be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.